The galaxy was old. Very old. Stars had been born and died more times than anyone could count. Civilizations had risen, ruled, and disappeared into dust. Across thousands of worlds, intelligent species watched the universe and believed they understood it. Most of them were wrong. Among all known civilizations, the Xelians believed they were the most advanced. Their bodies were made of crystal, tall and elegant, glowing softly from within. Light flowed through them like blood. Their cities floated high above their home world, hanging in the clouds like shining jewels. The Xelians had mastered science long before others learned to farm. They understood quantum mechanics before most species learned how to write. Faster-than-light travel was so common to them that it felt boring. To the Xelians, progress was not a goal. It was simply normal life. And yet, for all their knowledge and power, there was one rule they followed without question. One rule that no one dared to break. Do not wake the humans. The rule was older than most empires. It existed in every language. It was carved into archives, encoded into AI systems, and whispered during first contact meetings. No one remembered who made the rule. No one remembered why. They only knew one thing. Ignoring it was dangerous. Humans were strange creatures. They were not large. They were not strong. They did not glow, fly, or bend gravity with their minds. Long ago they had barely reached the stars. Their technology had once looked simple, almost childish. Then, suddenly, they had disappeared. According to ancient records, humans had entered cryosleep during one of their many wars. Their planet had been low on resources. Their future uncertain. Instead of fighting on, humanity had chosen to sleep. Entire human colonies drifted through space inside massive ships. Millions of humans lay frozen in silent pods. Their ships moved slowly, guided by machines that never failed. And so the galaxy left them alone. Centuries passed. Then more centuries. The humans did not wake. Most civilizations stopped thinking about them at all. But the rule remained. Do not wake the humans. Chief Science Officer ZYH floated silently inside his research vessel, staring at a holographic display. The image showed a massive object drifting through space. Its surface was worn and dark. Time had scarred it deeply. A human colony ship. ZYH's crystal body shimmered uneasily. He did not like being this close. Even after centuries, something about human ships felt wrong. Not broken. Not weak. Just quiet in a way that made his internal light flicker. Fascinating, ZYH said, his voice echoing softly through his crystalline form. They appear so peaceful. The crew around him kept their distance. Everyone knew the protocol. Observe. Record. Do not interfere. They sleep like children, ZYH continued. And yet, the entire galaxy fears them. No one replied. The ship was ancient by Xelian standards. Its design looked simple. Smooth metal. Straight lines. No glowing energy fields. No living crystal systems. And still, ZYH felt nervous. It will be a routine scan, he said, mostly to himself. External hull analysis only. Nothing invasive. That was the plan. Unfortunately, plans often failed. Junior researcher Zix floated closer, his crystal body bright with excitement. He was young, recently graduated from the Galactic Academy. Brilliant, curious, dangerous. Chief Officer, Zix said, our scans show something unusual. ZYH turned slightly. Unusual how? The cryogenic systems, Zix replied. They are far more efficient than expected. Beyond our models. Even our best technology cannot match it. ZYH hesitated. Observation only, he reminded him. Zix's light pulsed faster. Just a small probe. We won't touch the humans. Only the outer systems. Think of the scientific value. ZYH should have said no. Every law. Every warning. Every story screamed at him to refuse. But curiosity was powerful. Very well, ZYH said slowly. One probe. Minimal contact. Zix wasted no time. The probe launched. For a moment nothing happened. Then the human ship changed. A low hum echoed through space. Lights flickered across its surface. Systems that had been silent for centuries began to awaken. Alarms screamed inside the Xelian vessel. What did you do? ZYH demanded, his calm voice cracking. I don't know, Zix stammered. His glow dimmed in fear. The probe's quantum signal, it resonated with their systems. On the main screen, cryogenic pods began to activate. 1, 10, hundreds, thousands. They lit up like stars. ZYH felt something he had not felt in centuries. Fear. Emergency transmission, he ordered. Code ultraviolet. Human awakening in progress. Outside, zillion warships arrived in seconds, forming a defensive ring. The High Commander appeared on screen, her ancient crystal form glowing dark with rage. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" she shouted. ZH opened his mouth to speak. He never got the chance. The human ship's engines powered up. Ancient systems ran perfectly. And deep within the ship, human minds stirred. They were awake. And they were not happy. The first sound was not an explosion. It was breathing. A deep, slow hum rolled through space as the human ship fully came alive. Light spread across its surface in clean, controlled patterns. Ancient systems, once silent, now worked as if they had never been asleep. Inside the Zillion research vessel, panic spread quickly. Monitors flashed red. Unknown energy readings filled the screens. The ship's AI struggled to keep up, translating signals that made no sense. "They're activating faster than predicted," one officer reported. "Much faster." Chief Science Officer ZYH floated stiffly at the center of the command deck. His crystal body pulsed unevenly, betraying his fear. "That technology should not still function," he said. "It has been dormant for centuries." "But it is," another voice replied. "Perfectly." On the main display, the human colony ship rotated slightly, correcting its position with gentle bursts of thrust. Every movement was precise, calm, intentional. This was not the behavior of a weak or broken civilization. This was control. Zix hovered nearby, his crystal glow pale and unstable. He did not speak. He could not. The excitement that once filled him had vanished, replaced by quiet terror. "Junior researcher Zix," ZYH said sharply. "Explain." Zix trembled. "The probe didn't damage anything. It matched their quantum field. Their systems were waiting for a signal like that." ZYH stared at the screen. "Waiting," he repeated. As if on cue, a new alert blared across the deck. "Neural activity detected." Silence followed. Every Zillion on board froze. "They're conscious," whispered one officer. "Human brain patterns are online." The High Commander's image flickered back onto the screen. Her crystalline form glowed dark purple, a color reserved for absolute emergencies. "How many?" she demanded. The answer came slowly. "All of them," the AI said. "Entire population." ZYH felt his inner light dim. "That is not possible," he said. "A staggered awakening would be safer." The AI paused. "Human systems do not appear to prioritize safety. They prioritize efficiency." Outside, more warships arrived. A full containment fleet surrounded the human vessel. Weapons charged, but none fired. No one wanted to be the one who made things worse. "Can we put them back to sleep?" ZYH asked carefully. The High Commander did not answer immediately. Instead, she watched the human ship. "No," she finally said. "If they are awake, forcing sleep would be seen as an attack." ZYH understood the unspoken truth. If humans were angry, the galaxy would pay. Suddenly, the human ship sent out a transmission. It was not a warning, not a threat. It was a message. The signal cut through every frequency. It bypassed translation delays, AI filters, and security protocols as if they were not there. A deep, tired voice echoed through the Zillion vessel. "Who dares disturb our slumber?" The words were calm. Too calm. Every Zillion felt it. Not fear of violence. Fear of attention. "They sound annoyed," Zix whispered. "That may be worse," ZH replied. The High Commander straightened. "Prepare diplomatic response. Immediate." The Zillion diplomatic corps moved faster than ever before. This was their specialty. They had prevented wars. They had negotiated peace between species that hated each other for millennia. But this was different. Ambassador Crystal was chosen to lead the team. Her form was polished to perfection, reflecting light in patterns designed to appear calm and pleasing to humans. "Remember," she briefed her team, "humans value respect. Apologies must be clear. Sincere." One diplomat raised a trembling appendage. "What if they are hostile?" Crystal paused. "Then we apologize harder." The docking request was sent. To everyone's surprise, the human ship accepted. "That's a good sign," someone said. It was not. As the diplomatic team floated through the airlock, the temperature shifted. The air felt heavy. Alive. They entered a large chamber filled with humans. Millions of humans. They were standing, stretching, rubbing their faces. Many wore loose clothing. Some were wrapped in blankets. Almost all of them were holding cups filled with a dark liquid. The Zillion sensors immediately flagged it. Unknown stimulant, potent. Ambassador Crystal stepped forward. Most esteemed humans, she began, on behalf of the Galactic Alliance. Save it, a human interrupted. The human leader stepped forward. Their eyes were dark with exhaustion. Their hair stuck out in wild directions. They took a long sip from their cup. Do you have any idea, the human said slowly, how hard it is to get several million people to agree on nap time? The diplomatic team exchanged nervous glances. This is not in the manual, one whispered. The human leader continued, voice flat and tired. We synchronized centuries of sleep schedules. Centuries. And you woke us up. They took another sip. And we haven't even had our coffee yet. Ambassador Crystal felt her crystal structure vibrate. Something had gone very wrong. For a moment no one spoke. The chamber inside the human ship was quiet except for soft human sounds, breathing, stretching, the faint clink of cups being placed on metal surfaces. The humans did not shout. They did not threaten. They simply stared. And somehow that was worse. Ambassador Crystal floated in place, her polished form reflecting the harsh white lights of the chamber. She had faced warlords and hive minds before. None of them had ever looked this tired. We deeply regret the disturbance, she said carefully. It was an unfortunate accident. The human leader raised one eyebrow. An accident, they repeated slowly. You call waking up several million people an accident? Another human laughed. Not happily. Not angrily. Just tired. I was in the middle of a really good dream, one said. We had pizza. Real pizza. The Zillion diplomatic team froze. Their translators flagged the word immediately. Pizza, emotional significance, extreme. Ambassador Crystal tried again. We are prepared to offer compensation. Comfort technology. Restorative environments. We can help you return to sleep. The human leader snorted. Return to sleep? They said. Have you ever tried to fall back asleep after someone wakes you up too early? They shook their head. It's impossible. Around them, other humans nodded. Some groaned. One rubbed their face with both hands. This is bad, whispered one diplomat. They're not violent. Crystal agreed silently. Violence could be handled. This could not. Inside the Zillion command ship, Chief Science Officer ZYH watched the feed with growing dread. His crystal body flickered as he observed human behavior patterns. They are emotionally unstable, one analyst reported. ZYH shook his head. No. They are irritated. The High Commander hovered beside him, her ancient form tense. Which is worse, she asked. Before ZYH could answer, the human ship sent another message, this one internal. A data request. They are accessing galactic records, an officer said. Public archives. Communication logs. ZYH felt a chill ripple through his structure. They're checking what happened while they slept, he realized. Back on the human ship, the leader stared at a floating display filled with messages. Thousands. Millions. Centuries of unread notifications. They blinked slowly. Oh, they said. Oh, this is interesting. What is it? Another human asked. The leader took a deep breath. So while we were asleep, they said calmly, you all thought we went into cryosleep because we ran out of resources? Ambassador Crystal hesitated. That is, the accepted historical record. The human leader stared at her. Then they laughed. Not softly. Not kindly. They laughed so hard they had to sit down. This is priceless, another human said, wiping tears from their eyes. They really believed that. Believed what? Crystal asked carefully. That we were desperate, the leader replied. That we were weak. They leaned back, eyes bright now, not angry, not tired. Amused. We went to sleep because we were bored. The chamber fell silent. Even the human murmurs stopped. ZYH felt his inner light flicker wildly. Bored? He whispered. The human leader continued, gesturing at the ancient ship around them. We had already solved energy problems. Disease. Poverty. Or faster-than-light travel. They shrugged. There was nothing left to fix. Another human stepped forward. So we decided to take a break. Ambassador Crystal's mind struggled to process the words. But, the cryogenic pods, she said. You were unconscious. The human leader smiled. Oh no, they said. Those aren't sleep pods. They tapped the side of one nearby chamber. The surface shimmered, revealing complex systems far beyond anything Zillion science had imagined. These are quantum consciousness frames, the human said. Our bodies rested. Our minds didn't. ZYH felt something crack inside him. They were awake, he realized. The whole time. Another human grinned. We were running universe-scale simulations, mapping timelines, testing realities, and watching entertainment, someone added. A lot of entertainment. The High Commander's image flickered on the human ship's screen. Her voice trembled despite her authority. Then, the rule, she said. The warning about never waking humans. The human leader's smile widened. Oh, that, they said. Yeah, we made that. The room seemed to tilt. You made it? Crystal asked. The leader nodded. Best prank in galactic history. We scattered it everywhere and waited to see how long it would last. ZYH felt stunned. All those centuries. All that fear. A joke. But why? The High Commander demanded. Why hide? The human leader's expression softened slightly. Because being the most advanced species is exhausting, they said. Everyone comes to you with problems. We just wanted some peace. They looked around the chamber at the gathered diplomats and warships beyond. And you all did fine. Mostly. ZYTH realized something then. The humans were not angry because they had been woken up. They were angry because the galaxy had misunderstood them completely. And now, they were awake, fully awake, and paying attention. The galaxy had prepared for war. What it got instead was complaining. Inside the human colony ship, the atmosphere felt heavy with frustration. Humans moved slowly, rubbing their eyes, stretching stiff limbs, and holding tight to their cups of coffee like survival tools. The zillion diplomats hovered awkwardly, unsure where to stand or what to say. They had faced angry rulers before. This was different. Angry rulers usually wanted something. The humans wanted everything to go back to how it was 5 minutes ago. You know what really hurts? One human said, scrolling through old data logs. All my favorite shows are gone. Another human groaned. Centuries of progress and no one kept the servers running? Ambassador Crystal listened carefully, trying to understand the emotional pattern. Her internal systems flagged something unusual. These beings were powerful. But right now they were deeply uncomfortable. We truly regret the inconvenience, Crystal said gently. We are prepared to offer restitution. Entire resort worlds. Comfort systems. Anything you require. The human leader looked at her. Comfort, they repeated. You think comfort fixes this? They waved a hand toward the gathered humans. Do you know how long it took to sync our sleep cycles? Millions of people. Different time zones. Different planets. They shook their head. That alone took decades. ZYH watched from the command vessel, his mind racing. They are expressing collective emotional distress, he said. But not in a destructive way. The High Commander folded her crystalline appendages. Then what is their intent? ZYTH hesitated. I believe, they want to be heard. That became clear very quickly. A human stepped forward and tapped a control panel. The human ship's systems connected to the galactic network. We're holding a meeting, the human announced. A meeting? Crystal echoed. Yeah, another human said. A town hall. The word sent a ripple of fear through the diplomatic team. A town hall meant millions of voices. At once. Inside the Zillion command ship, warning systems blinked. They are organizing themselves, an officer reported. Rapidly. Screens filled with human faces. All of them awake. All of them talking. This is unprecedented, Crystal whispered. On the human ship, complaints flooded in. My favorite snack is extinct. Why does everything require a password now? Who thought removing physical buttons was a good idea? Each complaint came with emotion. Loud. Honest. Unfiltered. One human suddenly froze, staring at a screen. Pizza, they said quietly. The room fell silent. The human leader turned slowly. What about pizza? The human swallowed. It's gone. Completely. No recipes. No archives. Something dangerous shifted in the air. That's it, the leader said calmly. That's unacceptable. 3 zillion diplomats felt stress fractures form in their crystal structures. This situation is escalating, Crystal transmitted privately. But not violently. How is that possible? The High Commander replied. They are angry, Crystal said. But they are focusing it inward. On loss. On inconvenience. The human leader turned back to the diplomats. You know what this means? They asked. We can't go back to sleep. Crystal felt her internal light flicker. We understand. We will assist in any way. Oh, you will, the human replied. But not the way you think. Back on the command ship, ZYH watched as the human ship began sending requests. Not demands. Requests. System access. Historical data. Cultural archives. They're reviewing everything, ZYH said. Our laws, our borders, our policies. The High Commander stiffened. Can we deny them? ZYH shook his head slowly. We already gave them the network. On the human ship, the leader scanned reports at impossible speed. So, they said, you reorganized the galaxy while we were away. Crystal nodded carefully. We did our best. The human leaned back, sipping coffee. You did okay, they admitted. But some things are messy. What do you intend to do? Crystal asked. The human smiled. Fix it. The zillion diplomats froze. Fix the galaxy? Crystal repeated. Yeah, the human said. Nothing dramatic. Just some improvements. Outside, human systems began activating fully. Their ships, once drifting quietly, adjusted position. Communication arrays aligned. Energy readings spiked, but not toward weapons. Toward infrastructure. They're not preparing for war, ZYH said slowly. What are they preparing for? The High Commander asked. ZYH watched the data scroll past. Work. Back on the human ship, the leader finished their coffee and stood. First things first, they said. Someone find out why socks still disappear. The humans laughed. The Zillions did not. Because for the first time in galactic history, the universe was not being threatened. It was being reorganized. And that was far more dangerous. The galaxy watched in silence. For the first time in recorded history, humans were not reacting. They were analyzing. Inside the human colony ship, massive displays lit up with flowing data. Star maps expanded and collapsed. Timelines branched, merged, and vanished. Information moved so fast that even Zillion systems could not follow it. Chief Science Officer ZYH stared at the numbers in disbelief. This is impossible, he whispered. They are processing more data than our entire civilization. The High Commander did not reply. She could only watch. On the human ship, the leader scrolled calmly through galactic records, their expression unreadable. So this is what happened while we were gone, they said. Interesting. Ambassador Crystal floated nearby, her crystal form tense. You are reviewing classified material, she said carefully. The human glanced at her. You left it unlocked. Crystal had no answer. Another human leaned over, pointing at a glowing star map. Wow. They really struggled with interstellar traffic control. A third human shook their head. No wonder collisions increased. ZYTH's internal light dimmed. They see our greatest achievements as mistakes, he realized. The human leader turned toward the diplomatic team. There's something you should understand, they said. We didn't just sleep. Crystal nodded slowly. You already told us your minds were active. The human smiled. Not just active. Busy. They gestured and a projection filled the room. It showed countless universes layered on top of each other, branching endlessly. While our bodies rested, the human explained, we ran simulations. Every possible version of reality. The room felt suddenly very small. We tested wars, another human added. Peace. Collapse. Growth. We broke the universe a few trillion times. And fixed it, someone else said casually. ZYH felt a deep vibration run through his crystal body. They explored everything, he thought. While we were proud of surviving. But why hide? Ambassador Crystal asked. Why pretend to be weak? The human leader sighed. Because when you're the most advanced species, they said, everyone expects you to fix everything. They looked directly at the diplomats. And sometimes, you don't want to. Silence followed. The High Commander's voice broke through the channel. You achieved this level of development before most of us reached space? The human nodded. Before some of you invented wheels. The words hit the galaxy like a shockwave. That is not possible, the High Commander said. It was, the human replied. We just didn't announce it. Another human laughed softly. We watched you all grow. You did great. Mostly. ZYD struggled to steady himself. All this time, he said quietly, we believed we were protecting you. The human leader smiled gently. No, they said. You were protecting yourselves. And that's okay. They paused, then added, but now that we're awake. The sentence hung in the air. We noticed a few problems. Suddenly, alerts flashed across Zillion command systems. Star systems shifted. Trade routes updated. Energy grids stabilized. They're making changes, an officer shouted. Without asking permission. ZYH scanned the data. They're optimizing, he said slowly. Improving efficiency by 30%. The High Commander clenched her crystalline form. They can't just rewrite galactic systems. On the human ship, the leaders shrugged. Sure we can, they said. Watch. A distant star dimmed slightly, then moved. Entire civilizations gasped. You relocated a solar body, the High Commander said in horror. It was blocking the view, the human replied. And the commute was terrible. Ziwadich felt dizzy. They're reshaping reality, he whispered. But there was no cruelty in it. No conquest. No destruction. Only correction. Another human raised a hand. Also, we fixed your communication lag. Universal Wi-Fi should be stable now. Across the galaxy, messages suddenly moved instantly. They improved us, Crystal said softly. The human leader leaned back. Look, they said. We don't want to rule anyone. We just hate bad systems. ZYTH understood then. Humans did not want power. They wanted things to work properly. And the rule? Crystal asked hesitantly. The one about never waking humans. The human grinned. Oh, that was mostly a prank, they said. But also a warning. A warning? The High Commander asked. The human nodded. We're really bad at being bored. Laughter rippled through the human group. ZYTH did not laugh. Because he finally understood the truth. The galaxy had not been running freely. It had been running unsupervised. And now the supervisors were back. Fully awake. Fully caffeinated. And already fixing everything. The galaxy did not collapse. That was the most confusing part. Everyone had expected disaster. Or destruction. Fear. But instead, something far stranger happened. Things started working. Trade routes became faster. Communication delays vanished. Energy shortages disappeared overnight. Problems that had existed for centuries simply stopped. Chief Science Officer ZYH watched the report scroll across his display in disbelief. They stabilized 12 star systems, he said. Without deploying a single weapon. The High Commander's crystal form flickered with stress. This is worse than invasion, she replied. They're changing everything. On the human ship, the leader walked through a command chamber that felt more like a living room. Humans sat casually, some in robes, some barefoot, many holding coffee. Okay, the leader said, stretching. Who wants to fix bureaucracy next? A few humans raised their hands. Across the galaxy, zillion administrative systems began receiving updates. Casual Fridays introduced. Mandatory rest cycles. Break rooms. What is a break room? One zillion officer asked. ZYH stared at the update. A place where nothing productive happens. The officer looked horrified. It's essential, ZYH added quietly. Young members of different species reacted first. They were curious, not afraid. Zillion youth began visiting human zones. Humans taught them strange new concepts. Music, games, memes. Within weeks, the galaxy experienced its first interspecies meme war. Entire star systems argued over humor that made no logical sense. Zix, the junior researcher who had started everything, floated beside ZYH, watching a group of humans teach young Xylans how to relax. They do make things more interesting, Zix said softly. ZYTH nodded. And more dangerous. Dangerous how? Zix asked. ZYH watched a human move a planetary orbit slightly. Because they don't think like conquerors, he replied. They think like problem solvers. The human leader addressed a galactic assembly for the first time. They wore a bathrobe. On their feet were soft slippers shaped like small animals. The galaxy watched in silence. Hi, the human said. So, quick update. ZYTH's internal sensors struggled to process the moment. They controlled star systems. And they wore slippers. We noticed you all worked too much, the human continued. So we fixed that. Across the galaxy, alarms sounded. Work limits activated. Mandatory vacations enforced. A new department appeared overnight. Department of Taking It Easy. The High Commander nearly shattered her crystalline form. This is madness, she said. Civilizations will collapse. They didn't. Productivity increased. Creativity exploded. Happiness metrics rose sharply. ZYH reviewed the data in stunned silence. It works, he admitted. The humans also fixed food distribution. They introduced a galactic delivery network. 30 minutes or your money back, a human explained. What is money? A diplomat asked. We'll explain later, the human replied. Cultural confusion spread quickly. Humans introduced casual clothing to species that had never worn anything. This caused a galaxy-wide debate about whether wearing nothing counted as casual. The debate ended when humans declared every day Hat Day. Hats became mandatory. No one knew why. Everyone agreed it was funny. Even the Zillion military changed. War cruisers gained coffee stations. Training schedules included something called yoga. ZYH watched a crystalline admiral attempt a stretching pose. "This image will haunt me," he said quietly. The most shocking change came from the galaxy's most feared species, the void crawlers. For millennia they had been symbols of terror. Their presence caused panic. Humans introduced them to hot chocolate. The void crawlers became meditation instructors. "We were never evil," their hive mind explained. "Just stressed." ZYH realized something important. Humans did not fight fear. They removed the reason for it. They established something called the Galactic Chill Zone Treaty. Every species gained rights to rest, leisure, and something called Netflix and actually chill. Any species caught overworking faced immediate human intervention. "Rest is not optional," a human warned kindly. The galaxy adjusted. Slowly. Surprisingly well. ZYTH was promoted. His new title appeared on his display. Chief Officer of Keeping Humans from Getting Bored. He was not sure if it was an honor or a punishment. As he floated through the Human Community Center, a massive station filled with laughter, music, and shared meals, ZYH felt something unfamiliar. Oh, but it was fragile. Because as the humans fixed the galaxy, something else began to happen. They started yawning. One by one. And ZYH knew. This was not the end. 6 months after the Great Awakening, the galaxy was unrecognizable. Not because of destruction, but because of balance. Star systems ran smoothly. Trade flowed without conflict. Species that had once feared each other now shared meals, stories, and strange human traditions. The Galactic Alliance gathered for its annual review. The meeting hall looked nothing like it used to. Comfort chairs replaced cold crystal platforms. Soft lights glowed instead of harsh energy beams. Tables overflowed with snacks. Coffee machines lined the walls. This was non-negotiable. Humans insisted. High Commander Christos stood at the podium, her crystalline form glowing with amusement instead of stress. "For millennia," she said, "we enforced a law we did not understand. Never wake humanity." Soft ripples of laughter echoed through the chamber. "It turns out," she continued, "they were not sleeping. They were resting from us." Across the room, the human leader raised a coffee mug in salute. They still wore the bathrobe. It had become an official diplomatic uniform in 3 sectors. "In our defense," the human said casually, "you all did okay. Mostly." The void crawler representative adjusted their comfort scarf. "We apologized," they muttered. Laughter followed. Chief Science Officer ZYH floated near the back, watching quietly. His crystalline form shimmered with calm. For the first time in his long career, the universe felt stable. But something was wrong. He noticed it slowly. The humans were quiet. Not fixing things. Not joking. Not moving star systems or introducing new programs. They were yawning. One human tried to hide it. Another stretched. A third nearly spilled coffee. ZYH felt a chill ripple through his structure. He floated closer to the human leader. "Are you functioning properly?" he asked carefully. The human smiled weakly. "Oh yeah," they said. "Just tired." The room grew silent. "Tired?" Ambassador Crystal repeated. The human nodded. "You know how it is. Long nap, busy wake-up period then." They yawned again. "Sleepy." Crystalline beings across the chamber vibrated with sudden alarm. "You cannot go back to sleep," High Commander Christos said sharply. The human blinked. "Why not?" "Because the galaxy," she paused, searching for the right words, "depends on you." The human leader looked genuinely surprised. "Oh," they said. "That's not good." A murmur spread through the room. "We thought," the human continued slowly, "that you all were ready now." ZYH spoke before he realized he was moving. "Ready for what?" he asked. The human met his gaze. "To run things without burning yourselves out." Silence. The humans looked around the chamber. Species of every shape and energy type watched them with fear, respect, and something else. Confidence. The galaxy had learned. Humans smiled. "That's kind of perfect," the leader said. They stretched, standing up. "Don't worry," they added quickly. "We're not disappearing completely." With a gesture, new data filled the chamber. Clear instructions. Real instructions. Not pranks. Guidelines for balance. Rest cycles. Crisis handling. A system that adjusted itself instead of collapsing. ZYTH examined the data. "They left us everything," he realized. And trusted us to use it. The High Commander's voice softened. You planned this. The human nodded. We always do. They paused, then grinned. Well, most of the time. Laughter broke the tension. But the rule? Ambassador Crystal asked. The law about never waking humans? The human leader's eyes sparkled. Oh, we're keeping that. A few nervous vibrations passed through the chamber. Why? Christos asked. The human shrugged. Tradition, they said. Also, we wake up grumpy. The Void Crawler nodded in understanding. That night, the galaxy watched as human colony ships prepared once more. Not in fear, but in gratitude. ZYH stood at the observation window, watching stars reflect off the hulls. Zix floated beside him. So, Zix said quietly, was waking them a mistake? ZYH considered the question. No, he replied. It was a lesson. What kind? Zix asked. ZYH watched the human ships drift into deep space. That even gods need rest, he said. And that strength without balance is just another kind of weakness. The final human transmission echoed across all frequencies. Okay, universe, the human leader said, voice warm and calm. Try not to break anything while we're gone. Pause. And if you do, write it down? The signal faded. The galaxy exhaled. In the archives of the Zillion Science Academy, the law was rewritten. Never wake humanity, unless they ask you to. Chief Science Officer ZYH smiled, his crystalline form glowing softly. The universe was quiet. But this time, it knew how to rest.